Hey dudes, today I want to talk about routing. What is it? Well, it's basically like directing traffic. Another way to talk about routing is signal flow. And at the most basic level, we're talking about moving sound into Pro Tools, moving sound internally within Pro Tools, and moving sound out of Pro Tools to like your speakers or headphones or something like that. The good news is that sound can only travel in two directions, in and out. And we usually refer to this as I/O. The most basic I/O example is having an input, like a microphone, and having an output, like headphones. So if you're ever stuck, just think in and out. Some key words to talk about when we're routing. An audio track is a track containing audio clips. An auxiliary or aux track is a track that only allows sound to pass through it. It can't live inside of the track. An input is an audio signal going into a track. And this can also be physical, like plugging a microphone into input 1 of your audio interface, for example. Whereas an output is the opposite. It's an audio signal going out of a track, and this can also be physical, like sending the final output to your speakers. Now, a send deals with internally sending a signal to another track in your session, and a bus is that path that's used to route a signal from one track to another track. So we'll stop for a second here and just say a bus cannot be used to output something to your speakers. That is in fact an output and you must use that. But let's dive a little deeper. Okay, so here's a snapshot from a larger session that I might be working on. There would definitely be more routing and more stuff, but let's just look at this little piece. So I have a dialogue audio track. On the output of that dialogue audio track, I've created a bus 1. And with this bus, I am now outputting dialogue audio track into dialogue processing aux. Then I am going out of dialogue processing aux with bus 2 into dialogue stem. So remember, I, O, in, out, that's all I'm doing. The bus paths are literally just paths I've created so I could make this routing on my own. But wait, there's more. What if I wanted to add some reverb to my dialogue? Well, I could have my dry or non-reverb signal start at my dialogue audio track and go to my dialogue stem. And then simultaneously with my bus 3, send dialogue audio track to my dialogue reverb aux, where reverb gets applied to it, and then I can just recycle my bus 2 on the output of that aux back into the dialogue stem. So again, you have a dry or non-reverb signal starting at dialogue audio, going to the stem, and then you also send that to the dialogue verb, and then they meet back in the middle on the dialogue stem. If this seems a little complicated, we're going to dive into it more in Pro Tools, but for now, we're going to take a breath and wrap up this video. Okay, so here's some rules. If you're routing, your tracks are going to need inputs and outputs. In order to route one track to another track, you will need to create a bus. You can then bus the output of a track to another track. You can also send a track to another track via a bus. You can simultaneously use the output and a send on one track. You can even have multiple outputs and sends on one track. You can use an output to route sound to your headphones and speakers, but you cannot use a bus to route sound to your headphones and speakers. So if you ever get confused, remember that busing and sending is only internally within Pro Tools. And guess what, guys? That's it. Just remember these keywords for now. So input and output, bus and send, they kind of go hand in hand. Inputting and outputting is how you literally get in and out of Pro Tools. Busing and sending is how you work within Pro Tools to route one track to another track. And that's it. Well, for now, that's it. But get ready for the next video where we crack open Pro Tools and get started routing a template with processing chains, reverbs, and more. As always, I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. And more importantly, I hope you learned something. But until next time, later, dudes.